So today for you I have something that is quite special to me. I know what you're thinking. Really? Sideswipe mold? Even for my channel this is the third time dipping into this figure. But this unreleased G2 Universe Sideswipe is forever gonna have a coveted place within my collection because I got it for Christmas. It was my first Christmas present from my tiny baby son. And so for that reason, this figure is always going to be particularly memorable to me. So I thought I should immortalize it on the channel. So I love this figure, and I love this particular deco of this figure for a couple of reasons. Firstly, doing an unreleased G2 deco when G2 failed in the first place just shows how much Hasbro actually cares about their, hardcore lifelong collectors. I know some people like to bemoan them, not focusing enough on adult collectors, but if you needed any proof that they have us full-grown nerds in mind, look no further than the Toxitron line. Because other than, people aged, 35 to 50, who could give a tinker's cuss? And as for the mold itself, Wave 1 Siege, baby. I feel like, Siege was a new golden age of Transformers engineering and sculpting. Action features to the back, articulation to the front. And does it get much more iconic Transformers wise than, hood off car make chest? I feel like if I was trying to get someone to get into modern Transformers collecting and sell them on the virtues of everything the franchise has to offer, I'd hook them one of the many versions of this mold because it's fast, intuitive, posable, and just cool. And what's cooler than cool? 90s Vaporwave, baby. Honestly, this layout, this deco, just reminds me so much of so many of the different outfits I had to wear when I was a kid. Which, in the 2000s became cringe, but given that every mother sucker is rocking around in cargo pants again, like they're straight off the set of Dawson's Creek, he couldn't be more on point. I also like that he's come with the full assortment of accessories, so you can, pew! Get full G1 or G2 with it, as the case may be. He's also just really nicely articulated. I've always been a fan of this mold, how they have, the bicep divot, so that even though he's a super square boy, you can rock just the crispest 90 out of that elbow. And the fact that they put his waist swivel below his belt, so even with what's going on his back, you can still throw all the shapes you need out of him. Articulation wise, you get everything you need to know from this full Nelson. I also really love the plain white, black eyeliner rimmed eyes, giving some hardcore Ninja Turtles energy. Not exactly sure why, but in the 80s and 90s, pupils, very uncool. Here he is alongside a bunch of like-minded individuals, and I've not even been actively trying to get all the versions of this mold, and somehow I've ended up with 5 of the mother flippers. And looking at the crew together, you gotta admit, he is probably scoring lowest for the Robots in Disguise assignment. What I also really love about this figure is just how easy a mold this is to transform. Like, some of them, as we all know, are, that little bit too complicated to be fun, but this is the kind of transformation that sends you right back to that kind of like, childlike wonder of being able to do it so quickly and fluidly. And just look at that California fever dream, would you? This is more 90s than Crisscross. This is more 90s than The Secret Life of Alex Mack. What is not to love with this? How much does it look like you should be dipping him in water to color change him or chuck him in the freezer? Somehow a simpler time, but also a more complex time, because of all the gimmickry. Why did Transformers never really glow in the dark? That's a weird one. So look, I know this figure isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea, but I'm sure I'm not the only one who has figures that have taken on a special place of importance because, they were gifted to you by a loved one or commemorate a special occasion. And for me, this figure does just that. This is the first of what I hope to be many gifts from my son that hit me right in the collectors. What do you think? Y'all know what I'm talking about? Who's got one of those special bots in their collection? Hit me up, I want to talk about it. As well as getting nerdy with it, let's get sentimental with it this time around.